dread going to the ER because of the long wait and the lack of personal attention. But things are different at Neighbors Emergency Center. Here to explain, please welcome Dr. Satul Patel, President and CEO of Neighbors Emergency Center. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is one of those things that, in the event of an emergency, a lot of people don't know where they would go right away because you don't have a lot of time. So it's good to pinpoint what you need to, where it is at the, closest to the house or the whole bit. Okay, so urgent care versus hospital ER versus freestanding ER. We're seeing lots of things pop up. What's the difference between them?
Great question. So a freestanding emergency room, think of it as the first floor of the hospital, the ER that we typically go to, but we take it out and put it in the community. We are licensed by the state, which is significantly different than an urgent care, which practices under the physician's license. And typically at an urgent care, you may not even see a doctor. You may see a mid-level practitioner or a nurse, which is appropriate for certain things.
Yeah, but in an emergency, you want to see...
Right. You want to come in and see a trained emergency specialist. And at Neighbors, you know, we go one step further. We vet our doctors extremely well, extremely carefully. We pick from the community, so we're your neighbor.
Right. And the other thing that you do is you handle adults and children. A lot of times we might think we have to rush down to the children's hospital so they can address those needs, but you can address everybody's needs closer to home.
Correct, correct. We do adults and pediatrics. And typically at the pediatric tertiary care centers, those centers are full of really, really critically ill patients. And so if you have something minor or something that's even intermediate, it's better to come to us, let us stabilize you, and then send you where you need to go appropriately.
Yeah, I have a friend whose daughter broke her arm, and 6 hours later they were still sitting in an emergency room because they were in there with other kids who had, the flu and all kinds of other things. So that wait time is greatly reduced at Neighbors.
Yeah, 6 hours will be 6 minutes.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. So the average time is about what? Less than 10 minutes that you'll
Less than 10 minutes.
Waiting?
I mean, by the time you're filling out your paperwork, or sometimes before your paperwork is filled out, you'll be talking to me or one of my colleagues.
Okay. And, of course, open 24/7 because we all know those big emergencies usually happen after everybody's gone to bed, right? It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. What do we do? Okay. Lots of benefits. Obviously, the wait time, as we just mentioned. All facilities owned by local doctors, so it's not necessarily some big corporation somewhere that's kind of nameless and faceless. So they take ownership of their patients.
Correct. I mean, as a business owner, you're going to take care of your business. And so we give local physicians an opportunity that they wouldn't have at the big hospital systems or these big corporate giants.
Yeah. And the other thing that's nice is when you walk in, an emergency can be one of those things that is very troubling and scary. But when you walk in, the atmosphere is not scary.
Right. You know, the key is having compassion. Compassion is something that's lost in medicine these days. And, the philosophy at our company is compassion first, quality first, and expedience as well.
All right. So abdominal pain, allergic reactions, asthma, broken, dislocated bones, concussions, anything that constitutes an emergency, you can take care of.
We've seen it all, even in the community.
All right. Let's say somebody can get treated here and so basically get stabilized. If they have to go to a hospital, you can arrange that as well?
Absolutely. And it's one of the benefits of coming to Neighbors is, think of medicine as this big, giant entity. And a lot of times it's hard for people to know how to access it. By coming to us, we're sort of brand agnostic. We're going to send you where we think you're going to get the best care and not necessarily what it says on the door.
Yeah. You accept insurance.
Absolutely.
Okay. And you give back to the local community, which is you are our neighbors. And truly in that name, Neighbors.
Absolutely. We like giving back. We want to be entrenched into the community. We want to be that person at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, there's an emergency. Who do we? Oh, we're going to go to our neighbor next door.
Yeah.
And so we give to local charities. We sponsor Little League teams, football teams. In Humble, we even have a stadium that we've sponsored. Our name is on there. And so it's just a great way to give back.
Yeah. So before an emergency comes up, it's good to go ahead and pinpoint where the latest or where the closest facility is for Neighbors Emergency Center. They have them in Baytown, Bel Air, Copperfield, Crosby, Kingwood, Pasadena, and Pearland. So all around throughout our neighborhoods. Find out the one that's closest to you so that if there is an emergency, you can just kind of take that number right off the fridge and head on down. Neighbors Emergency Center has 7 locations in the Houston area that we just talked about here. And you can find them online at nec24.com. nec24.com. Thank you very much, Dr. Patel.
Thank you, Deborah.